first time posting on mobile. Sorry this is long. As title says, we have a newborn son who is 2 weeks old. To recap the period leading up to this event. We had the baby on a Thursday and came home on Saturday. Roses. Everything was absolutely beautiful. Our relationship had never been stronger, and we were so happy. More in love with each other and with the little one than we thought possible. On Sunday, we decided to pop a bottle of champagne. I have one glass, and he continues saying we can get beep now. I obviously didn't want to get beep, but did not discourage him since we hadn't drank in months. He ended up quite belligerent by the end of the night, and it resulted in tears on my end since he was acting out of character. The next morning he sincerely apologized and said that if he ever got beep like that again, he would stop drinking. That evening rolls around, and we have a glass of wine with dinner. I did not want another, but he continued to finish the bottle, and another. Beep again, more tears. I explained to him the conversation we had the night prior about him not doing this, and he broke down and came to bed and promised not to again. After a week of being home, my mother begins to travel to us to visit us for 2 weeks to help get settled with the baby. This visit has been planned for 4 months and was not a surprise. In the 2 days she is traveling, my boyfriend begins to transition from happy new father to protective new father. It is a difference, but he is very confident in his new role and feels that his life has changed, and he is very happy. My mother arrives at 8 a.m. on a Monday and proceeds to say hi to us and goes to sit on our porch to decompress after 48 hours of travel. My boyfriend comes to me and says that she was disrespectful when she arrived. I question him and say, I'm pretty sure she's just tired. Let's let her rest, and then we can all have a conversation about boundaries and more once she's rested. He agreed and moved on with the morning. I didn't think anything else of it. At around 9:30 a.m., she passes him in the kitchen, and he raises his voice and exclaims to her about how she will not be disrespectful of him in his house and more. I begin to bawl and beg him to stop. My mother goes outside crying. My boyfriend is livid, I can see it in his eyes. I try to calm him down and go to check on my mother, who I then try to calm down. He comes outside and asks to speak to her, and I leave them alone, and after about 1 minute, my mom comes back inside yelling and crying, I'm done, and tells me she's going to go back home. I try to speak to both of them, but I can't stop crying. My mother packs up to leave and does. My boyfriend thinks he has done the right thing and protected his family unit. I am devastated that my mom is gone, as I wanted her help and guidance with the newborn. He is confident in his decision. In the next 2 days, this confidence does not wane, and he says he had to hurt me in this situation to maintain his family. We went to bed around 11. We had argued some earlier in the evening, but when bedtime rolled around, we were actually on good terms, and I went to sleep pretty hard because of that. I wake up to a stranger shouting my name, and I look over and the baby is not in his bed. I run out and a policeman is inside. The shower is running. The door is open. The policeman informs me that my boyfriend took the baby and ran out of our apartment building and to a house up the street and rang their doorbell. The officer asked me to come with him, and he took me to the house where my boyfriend went. There were many officers outside asking me questions about different things. The consensus was that my boyfriend thought someone was going to beep him, so he took the baby and ran. The officers took me inside the house, gave me the baby, and then let me know they were taking my boyfriend to the hospital for an evaluation. The officers took me to a hotel for safety. The hospital ruled the case a mental break and that he was fine. He seemed fine when I picked him up and we went home. As the day went on, he got more and more paranoid, so I called the police when he went to work. He insisted that I had bugged the apartment, that the neighbors were in on it, that my mom called our pediatrician and more. The police suggested for us to separate for the evening, and he stayed home, and the baby and I are in a hotel again. What should I do now? He is continually paranoid now. I have a baby to protect. I don't feel he is being rational in our home. Please help. Thank you for reading this. ETA, overwhelming response, I did not expect this. The baby and I are safe. I called his mother, who is now traveling to come get him. I called my sister, who is planning to come now once he is gone from the house, so she and I can go back together. Thank you all. This has been the worst week after the best week, and I am exhausted. I turned to Reddit to rationalize what I was thinking, since I don't have people to talk to outside of the situation. Thank you for the responses. Updating here 2 months later. Baby and I are safe, and BF has been getting help at his mom's. I went to my mom's. I've been communicating with his mom, and he seems to be improving from her perspective. Thank you all again for the messages and the comments. It helped to have outside perspective when I was overwhelmed. I'm much better now than I was then. Update: my husband became a robot, and I don't know how to help him. Original. Hey everybody, here's the update. I wrote this a couple days ago but couldn't post it because it was too soon. My husband came home at around 6 o'clock, and after he had something to eat, I took him to the bedroom to talk. I sat him down on the bed and told him I was worried about him. I didn't know exactly how to phrase my worries, so I just showed him my original post. When he finished reading the post, he started crying, like full-on crying. In all the years that I have known this man, I had never seen a tear roll down his eye. I held him for a few minutes until he could recompose himself, and he told me everything. He told me that the world was in a beat place right now, and that we're bringing a child into a stressful time. He said when I became pregnant, he felt he had to step up. He needed to take care of things because it was his responsibility. He said that the weight of carrying the family was so much harder than he anticipated, so he thought if he doubled down, he could get through it. But the more he tried, the darker the tunnel got, and eventually he couldn't see an end. He said that he feels like he's constantly drowning, and the only breath of fresh air is on the car ride between home and work. He said that sometimes the stress is so much that he throws up, but doesn't tell anyone and instead keeps going with his day. He then pulled out a pack of gum from his pocket and said this was for when it happens. I asked him why he couldn't tell me any of this, and he said he didn't want to burden me with the truth. He said that he thought if he told me everything, that I would stop seeing him as a protector and provider, and that I would inevitably stop loving him. Hearing him say that brought tears to my eyes, because I didn't know where he got the notion I would feel that way. I asked him if he wanted to quit his job, but surprisingly, he said the job doesn't bother him. He said the work in of itself was fine. It's just now he feels an added weight to provide, because not only was he fortunate enough to keep his job in the pandemic, but we also had a kid on the way. He said that some days he feels like packing a suitcase and running to some tropical island for a week and not telling anyone. But then he feels guilty and doubles down even more. I told him that maybe he should go on a trip. I said that he deserved a break, and maybe if he did exactly that he'd feel better. He tried to protest, but I insisted. In the end, said that beep only go if we go together. Like a romantic getaway between spouses. Once things start to clear up and before the baby is due, he wants to take a week off from work, drop the kids off at grandma's house and have us go on a vacation. Just the two of us like we used to when we first got married. He also said he wants to take the day off tomorrow and just sleep in, so that's the plan. I'll call his boss tomorrow and say that he's sick and can't come in. It's not like they'll make a sick man come into work. There's a pandemic going on. Right now he's playing with the kids, and it doesn't feel like he's doing one of his chores. He actually seems to be enjoying himself. For the first time in months, I don't see the robot, I see my husband. Edit: hey everyone, I want to thank you all for the support. I read all of your comments, and I appreciate all of you. I didn't expect this to get so much traction, so I want to clarify some things. First things first, my husband says hi. One, I wanted to clarify about the chores people are taking about. I want to say that I know as a SAHM the bulk of chores goes to me. I cook and clean and do laundry because I know it's my responsibility. My husband's only chores are doing dishes, vacuuming every 3 days, and a few other house maintenance stuff. 2, I did in fact call in sick for my husband, but I made sure that I said he had a migraine. I saw on Google that it wasn't a symptom of COVID if it was an isolated symptom. His boss was okay with it and said he can come back whenever he feels better. 3, the pregnancy wasn't an accident. We both did want to have 3 kids because we were both raised in 3-kid families. We actively tried for the first 2, but for baby number 3, it was kind of a if it happens kind of thing. We're both happy with the amount of kids we have / will have and are hopefully done. We are not considering abortion nor adoption. 4, we realized that a 1-week vacation isn't enough to get rid of his stress, and are both trying to come up with a solution that alleviates his stress in a more sustainable way. Right now we're thinking about setting up an hour or 2 a day that's daddy's time. No kids, no me, no work. Just for him to relax. 5, to those of you who think this fake, there isn't any way I can change your minds about this situation, so I'm not really too bothered. I just hope this never happens to you guys. You all have been supportive and really a wonderful bunch of people. I really think we can get through this, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. I'm not going to reply to comments because, like last time, it's an overwhelming amount. But just know I'm reading these as they come in. Good night, everyone. It's been great.